Hello YouTube, my name is Nick Lawrence, two-time Ironman, and today I am here to answer the question, do I need a tri-bike to do my first Ironman? So I'm going to give you a short answer, yes or no, and then I will dig into some specifics as to how you can get started in your first steps in finding your new bike for your first Ironman. So let's get right into it. So this is a loaded question because you'll hear different people say different things in the industry. Like some people might say that you need every advantage possible to get through your first Ironman, and some people say don't waste the money. A road bike would be plenty fine. So just get a road bike and you'll get more use out of it. So here's my take after having completed 2 Ironmans myself. I do not think you need a tri-bike to complete your first Ironman. A road bike is more than sufficient, and I have plenty of evidence to back my claim. And if you don't trust me, you can trust all the pro cyclists that just competed in the Tour de France and all the other cycling competitions throughout Europe, the Olympics, so on and so forth. If you look at the bikes that they're using on these extremely long rides with extreme elevation changes, you'll notice that none of them actually are using a tri-bike. And that's obvious because tri and tri-bike stands for triathlon. They're all using road bikes. So what can you compare a tri-bike to in, say, a Tour de France setting that would be more of an equivalent? The only thing that you can really compare it to would be a TT bike, which is a time trial bike. And the clear factor that makes a difference between the time trial bike and the typical road bike, or a tri-bike and the typical road bike, is the aerodynamics that are naturally built into the shape of the frame that allow your body to enter a more aerodynamic position. So a tri-bike and a TT bike will allow you to be more aerodynamic than just a road bike, and that's pretty much it. There are some minor muscle activation differences where the tri-bike might hit some of your larger groups a little bit more efficiently, like your glutes and so on and so forth, but the short answer there is if you're just dabbling or just beginning to enter the world of triathlon, especially in an Ironman distance, and if you don't see yourself turning this into one of your main hobbies over the next 5-10 years plus, then I would personally recommend that you get a road bike. Now, all that being said, I personally got a tri-bike for my first Ironman because I didn't know anything, and literally everything that I learned from was online. And I listened to the people that said that you need to get every advantage that you can if you're going to be doing something this crazy. And at the time, in my head, I did think that doing an Ironman was a monumental feat that would take literally everything that I had to give. But regardless of what type of bike you choose to go with, there is a smart way to get this bike without breaking the bank. Because if any of you, or if most of you have been looking around at Trek, Pinarello, Cervelo, Canyon, all these bike companies, if you're looking at even their baseline tri-bikes, you're looking at spending nearly like $5,000 to $10,000, and that's without all the bells and whistles. So what I did was I went to Facebook Marketplace and I literally typed my bike size in and just saw what was available in the area for purchase. And that worked out pretty well for me. I got my tri-bike, which was a 2011 Scott Plasma, the same bike that I used for both my first and my second Ironman. And yeah, so I paid about $1,500 for that bike rather than what you would expect to pay, which is like $5,000 plus. Now, here's the catch with purchasing from Facebook Marketplace. If you're brand new to triathlon or even, and you really have no reference point as to say which bike is right for you, which bike size might be right for you, what is worth spending your money on and what isn't worth spending your money on. And so when I got this bike for about $1,500, I really didn't know anything. I didn't realize that most bikes don't come with the pedals. So you have to buy your own pedals. That's an additional expense. Now you need shoes for those pedals. That's an additional expense. If the bike is carbon and it doesn't fit you like nearly perfectly, then you either need to buy the tools to shave down the seat post like I did on my bike since it was older. The only way to modify the stem height for the saddle was to shave it down. That was an additional expense. And then even moving forward from my first Ironman to the second one, because I only did as well as I could have with my fit, because I wasn't a professional, I didn't know anything. So moving into my second prep, I then got fit to the best of the ability that the fitters could, because the bike was technically slightly too big for my body. I'm on the shorter side, so it was slightly too big for my body, and now I paid this additional expense to fit it as best I could, and then find out that it wasn't like the right size for me. So I know that, like, I'm not throwing any numbers at you, but the amount that I spent in additional expenses when I could have just gotten a different bike or a lower version of a newer bike started to make me question. So just a word of warning, if you're going to use Facebook Marketplace to get your first bike, honestly, the best thing that you can do is find somebody with a little bit more experience than you, ask them questions, like send them bike options that you're finding on Facebook Marketplace, and if you could, have them come with you to check out the bike so that you're not just not knowing anything, looking at this like crazy looking bike in front of you with no way of knowing like what it's supposed to feel like, what it's supposed to look like, where to check, the condition of the parts and stuff like that. Like personally, I have gotten a few people into cycling recently, and like this is exactly what I did for them. This is what they did. So like they would do their research on Facebook Marketplace, like look at all the bikes in the area of different sizes and different components, different styles, and send them over to me, and I would say yes or no based on what I knew about them. And then I went with one of my friends to see a few bikes and make sure that they were advertising exactly what they were, or they were showing what they were advertising. So that's my long answer to the question of should you get a tri bike or should you get a road bike if you're just getting into Ironman. With the secondary part of how to find a bike on Facebook Marketplace, and then some pitfalls that I had to learn the lesson the hard way along the way that now hopefully you won't have to. Please do your research so that you don't waste your money, and hopefully this helps. If you have any questions, then just leave them in the comments. I'd be more than happy to help you, because there's almost no worse feeling than spending like $1,500, $1,600 on a bike plus accessories, only to find out then that like it's not working for you, and then you're dealing with the frustration of like going to this bike shop, going to that bike shop. Is there something wrong with my bike? Feeling nervous. Like, your gear should be the least of your concerns if you're going into a race like this, or pretty much any race, but especially a race like Ironman. So that would be my to alleviate some of that stress from you. Just leave a question in the comments. Let me know like if you need help with anything, and I'll do my best to answer any of your questions as they come up. All right. Hope you enjoyed, and good night.